Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be looking into the unit roster of Aeneas. His roster focuses on a large variety of decent cheap light units, which can be used in human wave attacks before the heavy infantry line engages. The goal of his roster is to whittle down the enemy with their weaker units before the heavy infantry gets close enough. You'll find that his units are extremely cheap, which means he can raise more armies than regular factions. First up, we have the Dardanian mob. These guys are a lightweight spear and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of only 40 food. They are lightly armored with a missile block chance of 35%, decent morale, high speed, low melee attack and melee defense, low damage with bonus versus large. They are expendable units, meaning they will not cause a morale penalty for routing for units that are not expendable. These guys should be used as your main front line in the early game. They are extremely cheap, but they will not hold very well. You will need to outflank the enemy before these guys rout. Dardanian rabble. These guys are a lightweight, two-handed spear infantry with an upkeep cost of only 55 food. Lightly armored with no shields, decent morale, high speed, melee attack of 22, melee defense of 26, low damage of 63 with bonus versus large, decent charge bonus of 18. They are also expendable units. In the early game, utilize these guys for rear charges on the enemy frontline units, or chase down enemy missile infantry. Next are the Coastal Club Fighters. These guys are a medium-weight club and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of 70 food. They have slightly higher armor than the Dardanian mob with a 40% missile block chance. They have fairly low morale, good speed, low melee attack, decent melee defense, good damage of 74. They're expendable units. You would think these are slightly better frontline units than the Dardanian mob, but they are not. Dardanian mobs have slightly lower melee defense, but they have much more health. Send the Coastal Club Fighters in as the first wave, and then send in the Dardanian mob infantry line. Coastal Axe Fighters. These guys are medium weight axe and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of 80 food, 25 armor with a missile block chance of 40%, fairly low morale, 25 melee attack, 20 melee defense, low damage of 52. They are expendable units. Send these guys in with your Coastal Club Fighters before the Dardanian mob engage the front line. Coastal Club Warriors. These guys are a lightweight two-handed club infantry with an upkeep cost of 90 food. They have low armor and no shields, fairly low morale for the cost, high speed, decent melee attack of 29, 32 melee defense, 63 damage, decent charge of 25. They are expendable units. We will replace the Dardanian rabble units with these guys. They are better in every way. Use them to rear charge the enemy frontline units while your mainline waves are sent in, or chase down enemy missile infantry with these guys. Next up, we have the Axe Chargers. These guys are a medium-weight, two-handed axe infantry with an upkeep cost of 100 food. They have fairly low armor, low morale, high speed, 24 melee attack, 20 melee defense, 60 damage with good armor-piercing values, decent charge bonus. These guys are similar to the Coastal Club Warriors, only difference is they are an armor-piercing option. Rear charge the enemy frontline units with these guys. Make sure to put these guys up against more heavily armored units. Anatolian Swords. These guys are medium-weight sword and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of 110 food. They have good armor with a huge missile block chance of 65%, good morale, decent speed, 27 melee attack, 34 melee defense, and a high damage of 125. These guys are a much stronger option than all of your other units before, so send them into the frontline engagement after all of the expendable units have gone in. They are not expendable, so they will not gain morale penalties for your expendable units routing nearby. Shieldless Spears. These guys are a medium-weight two-handed spear infantry with an upkeep cost of 135 food. They have low armor, high morale, decent speed, melee attack of 25, good melee defense of 35, decent damage of 89 with bonus versus large. These guys are the upgraded versions of the Coastal Club Warriors. Utilize these guys for rear charging the enemy frontline units or chasing down enemy missile infantry. The Dardanian Spearmen. These guys are medium-weight spear and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of 95 food and 35 bronze. They have decent armor with a huge missile block chance of 65%, high morale, decent speed, decent melee attack of 28, high melee defense of 50, good damage of 90 with bonus versus large. These guys will be your first real frontline unit. Make sure these guys are on the last frontline wave you send in. Next are the Dardanian Sworn Fighters. These are lightweight two-handed club infantry with an upkeep cost of 125 food, low armor, high morale, very high speed, good melee attack of 36, low melee defense, good damage and charge bonus. They have improved bonuses when flanking enemy units and are immune to psychology. These guys are very fast and have high attack, so utilize them for recharging the enemy frontline units or chasing down enemy missile infantry. Now we have the heavy infantry line, heavy Anatolian spearmen. They are heavyweight spear and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of 105 food and 50 bronze. They have high armor and a huge missile block chance of 75%, high morale, low speed, good melee attack, and high melee defense, 110 damage with bonus versus large, swordsman, and axeman. These guys will be a part of the last frontline wave you send in. The enemy should have taken a good amount of damage before these guys even get to the fight. Heavy Anatolian swords. These are heavyweight sword and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of 135 food, high armor with a missile block chance of 45%, high morale, low speed, high melee attack of 42, and a melee defense of 38, with a high damage of 160 with decent charge. They are resistant to being flanked. Have these guys on the ends of your last frontline wave to utilize their resistance to flanking. The renowned Dardanian sworn fighters. These guys are medium weight 2-handed club infantry with an upkeep cost of 125 food and 25 bronze. They have fairly decent armor, high morale, high speed, fairly high melee attack, and average melee defense. Good damage of 66 with a huge charge bonus of 48. These guys should be used for rear charging the enemy frontline units. The Dardanian defenders. These guys are heavyweight club and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of 135 food and 35 bronze. They have high armor with a missile block chance of 55%, high morale, low speed, 40 melee attack, 52 melee defense with a high damage of 167. They also have access to armor-piercing missiles and improved flanking defense. These elite units will be mixed in your last frontline wave, or you can send them in after the heavy spearmen and heavy swords engage. The fearless swordsmen. These are heavyweight sword and shield infantry with an upkeep cost of 140 food and 15 bronze. They have extremely high armor with a missile block chance of 55%, very high morale, low speed, high melee attack of 44 and melee defense of 58, high damage of 160. They also have access to armor-piercing ammunition and improved flanking defense. In theory, these guys can either be used as frontline units or they can be used for rear charges on the enemy front line. That's up to you to decide. Lastly, we have the Dardanian Chargers. They are a heavyweight 2-handed club infantry with an upkeep cost of 180 food and 30 bronze. They have high armor and morale, decent speed, high melee attack, and melee defense with a high damage. Also access to armor-piercing missiles and improved flanking attacks. These guys should be used for rear charging the enemy front line. Make sure to use up their ammunition on their backs before you charge them in. First of the ranged infantry, we have the light skirmishers. They are lightweight javelin infantry with an upkeep cost of 80 food, low armor and morale, high speed, low melee combat stats, 15 ammunition, 100 range, and 20 missile damage with good armor piercing values. Bring these guys around the enemy frontline flanks and fire at their backs. Heavy Anatolian skirmishers. They are medium weight javelin infantry with an upkeep cost of 120 food, decent armor with a missile block chance of 35%, fairly low morale, decent speed, decent melee attack, and low melee defense, 15 ammunition, 75 range, 34 missile damage with good armor piercing values. You should utilize these guys in the same way as the light skirmishers. Lastly, we have the Anatolian slingers. They are lightweight slinger infantry with an upkeep cost of 110 food, low armor, decent morale, high speed, 28 ammunition, huge range of 180, 37 missile damage. You should utilize these guys for taking out the enemy missile infantry. The heavy Trojan Chariots. They are a heavyweight 2-handed spear chariot with an upkeep cost of 200 food and 40 bronze. They have a high armor value and morale, high speed, decent melee combat stats with bonus versus large. They have a huge charge bonus of 60. You should use these guys for psychocharging and do not leave them in prolonged combat. Archer Chariots. These are a lightweight bow chariot unit with an upkeep cost of 180 food. They have fairly low armor and high morale, very high speed of 88, low melee combat stats, 50 ammunition, 120 range, 54 missile damage. These guys should be kept on skirmishing mode and move them around the flanks of the enemy front lines. You can also use these guys to disrupt the enemy missile units. Now we'll be looking into a mid-game army composition. Aeneas has been slightly more difficult to create a generic army composition due to his units having such low morale. This army composition should stand up well against many armies, but do not let them get funneled into a choke point. We'll have 5 Dardanian spearmen, 4 Anatolian swords, 4 coastal axe fighters, 2 coastal club warriors, 1 axe charger, and 3 Anatolian slingers. Alright guys, so now we're going to want to look at how we want to form up our army. And so we're actually going to have our 4 coastal axe fighters in the first frontline wave. And then we're going to have the 4 Anatolian swordsmen in the second frontline wave. And then the Dardanian spearmen will be on the third frontline wave. We'll have our Anatolian slingers back here. Make sure you use these guys to fire at any ranged units. We need to take those out as soon as we can. So first, we're going to want to send in these guys, coastal axe fighters. Send these guys in first. And then what we're going to want to do is let them fight till they're about 75% health. Then we're going to want to move in the Anatolian swords. Send these guys up to the center. And if possible, you can bring these guys around to flank. And then we'll actually be flanking with the Coastal Club Warriors and Axe Chargers here on the sides. Coastal Club Warriors will be used for rear charging, and so will the Axe Chargers, but if they have heavily armored units, make sure to use the Axe Chargers on them instead. And once the Anatolian swords start to get down to 50% health, 75 to 50, you'll want to send in the main front line, the Dardanian spearmen. This is when they should come in to clean up the rest of the units, because these coastal axe fighters are pretty strong for the cost they have. And then we'll also have Aeneas here in the center. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative for your Aeneas campaign. Make sure to check out my other guides on the other faction units, which can be found in the link here. We are finishing up the faction unit guides, and then I'll be putting out some campaign guides. Also make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more.